Hi, welcome to another episode of Tutorials by Kyle Simpson at Simpson Studios. Going over Cubase tutorials, just the basics and getting by. Probably, if you haven't finished the four-part series of opening Cubase for the first time and you're still learning some of the basic tools, I highly suggest checking those tools out first before moving on. From there on out, we're going to be head into more of some slighter advanced areas. So I definitely want to make sure you guys have all the knowledge that you need to take everything one step at a time. So what I'm going to show you is something real quick today. I'm going to show you the basics of compression and what it does. We'll go into technical detail of it later, but the only reason I'm even showing the basics is because a lot of people still don't even know what it is. A lot of people have no idea, or they think they know, and it's not what they think. So I want to kind of help everybody give some clarity on what compression really is and how absolutely important it is to have on a track. What I have here is a band called Fight the Fade, which you can find them at fightthefade.com. They're on iTunes, they're everywhere. Really good friends of mine. These guys are traveling the world doing some pretty amazing things. And we finished a cover of Cool Kids, which everybody's heard before, I think. And Zine, their lead singer, did a fantastic job on the vocals. And one reason why I wanted to show off his vocals with this tutorial is because he has a very dynamic voice. His voice, volume wise, it's everywhere. And so it's a good way to show without compression what it sounds like, to not have compression on your vocals. And Zine definitely has one of those voices where, you know, it really needs compression majorly. But I'm going to play a little clip here of the verse for Cool Kids. And again, you can find this track. It's on YouTube. There's a lyric video for it, everything else. So, but I'm gonna play this track here, and you'll see what I mean when I play the verse. Listen to how colorless and how all over the place is. You'll see over here that I have turned off actually the compression and limiting and even the hall. Like it's just a raw track, and would like to show you guys what it sounds like. Here it is.
Talking with a big smile, but they haven't got a clue. Yeah, they're living the good life, can't see what he is going through. They're driving fast cars, but they don't know where they're going. In the fast lane, living life without knowing. And he says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids.
Now, right off the bat, you can totally tell right when he goes into that first line. I mean, it's just everywhere. You can't even hear the first words, and all of a sudden, you know, he gets into that next line here, and you can see where it just peaks up, and it's just everywhere. Especially when he got here to this last part. I mean, he was peaking out the entire mix. So that is without any compression whatsoever. So now I made a cute little diagram with my amazing artistic design. I'm going to show you here, and sometimes for me it's just easier to see the visuals. I'm showing you compression and limiting. This is the very basics. This isn't going into detail yet, but I'm going to show you what it's about. For vocals, I'm running the TubeTech CL1B compressor. I'm going to turn this on, and I'll show you. Here's our compressor. This thing is fantastic. Definitely check it out. It's by the company Softube. You can buy even the hardware. It's about $3,000, or it's a few hundred for the plug-in. Great plug-in. It's my favorite for vocals. And then on the limiter, I'm running it's by T-Rax multiband limiter. And these two, when you partner them up together, they just have a fantastic sound. I've spent the last few years just trying to mix and match plugins that I use and see what sounds better than the other. But I'm honestly pretty happy with this combination right here. I'm going to leave the reverb off, but actually I'm going to go ahead and turn off the limiter. And I'm going to show you the difference now just having compression on.
Talking with a big smile, but they haven't got a clue. Yeah, they're living the good life, can't see what he is going through. They're driving fast cars, but they don't know where they're going. In the fast lane, living life without knowing. And he says, I wish it.
So you can already see a big difference, but there's still a lot of color that's missing. I mean, it takes more than just a compressor. The compressor's doing a great job keeping him where he needs to be. But there's still a little bit more because you've got all these quiet parts. The compressor's doing a great job keeping the highs down, these big notes, these big peaks. It's doing a great job leveling it out. But now what about all these little tiny guys here, all these small words that are still disappearing? That is where a limiter comes in. You can use, there's different types of limiter. My favorite, especially for vocals, would be a multiband limiter. And you can see here that I crunched it up about 8 decibels. That to me is about the sweet spot for vocals. It's not too hot, but it's not too low, and it seems to be a good spot even for other limiters I've tried. About 8 decibels of a gain with of course a 0 decibel wall makes a huge difference. Now for here, I'm not doing a whole lot. I like to keep as much natural vocal as possible. I boosted the highs just a little bit, but I'll show you in this diagram what I mean between the two. So look at my amazing artwork here. This sine wave here represents the vocal track that's going through. You have your compression bringing it down, and you have your limiter crunching it up. So now, instead of the waves doing this, now they're forced to be right here in one area, giving you complete control over the track, for mixing especially. So now, with the limiter and the compressor on, I'll play the track.
Talking with a big smile, but they haven't got a clue. Yeah, they're living the good life, can't see what he is going through. They're driving fast cars, but they don't know where they're going. In the fast lane, living life without knowing. And he says,
and there you have it. All of a sudden, you have all this presence in your vocals. It's up in your face, right there, up above the mix, but also giving you full control. Now, as far as this was just a vocal compressor, there's other things too. Some of the stuff I have frozen, but there are other things like right here's my guitar compressor, the CLA3A. A part of compression too, and learning compression, is finding out what compression is best for what instrument. Whether it's vocals, whether it's kick or snare or bass or guitar, I run different compressors for everything. I've noticed that the TubeTech CL1B isn't as good of a compressor on the guitar as the CLA3A. And some of it, you just have to find out which compresses more naturally. Your goal is to make everything sound as natural as possible, but being compressed and controlled. So that's where you have the joy of going through and figuring out what compression works best. And I've spent plenty of years and hours upon hours upon hours going through and finding out what compressor works best for what track or what instrument. So this is just a small little rundown of what compression does and how important it is in a track, and even for live recordings, even for live settings. It's great to have a compressor, so when your singer decides to throw out a huge note, then it's nice and controlled. It adds color, it adds presence, and I strongly encourage everyone, if you're a singer, if you're in a band, if you're live, Or if you're an engineer starting out that don't think compression's that big of a deal, I promise you it is. I compress everything. Every single track on here has some type of compression, whether it's very subtle or whether it's hardcore to the wall. So it all just depends on what kind of instrument it is and what it needs. So I'll wrap this video up on compression, but I'm going to get into some other tools for sure. But this was just the starting. We'll go into more details of compression later.